Welcome, everyone, and it's that special day today, Arthur Bablis, and welcome for a very special podcast, an interview, a chat with a beautiful soul, a beautiful woman. And today's Valentine's Day, so to everyone out there today, happy Valentine's Day. It's almost like we need today as a line in the sand for us to celebrate love and relationships. You know, that should be every day. I'm going to have a chat with this woman today and talk about relationships. We're going to talk about love and how we can achieve success in that area in our life. But guys, I just want to wish all of you today a happy day, and may you be conscious. I think today for me, what Valentine's Day signifies is us all becoming conscious about our relationships, how we connect with other people, how we connect with ourselves, and how we allow ourselves to experience love and to experience this wonderful emotion that really makes life all worthwhile. And when we get that secret, how can we learn to become more intentional and conscious as we do that in our lives, so we can start experiencing life at a deeper level? So our speaker today, this wonderful soul, I've known this person for a long time now, I think 10, 15 years possibly, or maybe even longer over the last couple of decades, as you know, I've gone on this path in personal growth, personal development, human performance, complementary medicine, 3 decades in this field. And you come across people who, you know, are going to make a difference with what is that they do. And this person, she's been in the industry now for 20 years as a coach, an executive mindset coach. And her story, she's got an interesting story, and her story has led her to working the way she works today with people to be able to help them do the work that are required in order for them to attract their perfect partner, for them to experience love, to experience relationships at that level that we all crave. And so guys, I mean, I want you to give me a big welcome. Everyone, come on down for Rani Kudhal-Peluso. Let's give Rani a big round of applause. So Rani, congratulations. Thank you so much for being here. And happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day, Arthur, and happy Valentine's Day to everyone, whether you're in a relationship or not yet.
So thank you so much for coming today. It's a special podcast, right? We do one of these things every week, and today we thought, it is Valentine's Day, so who can we have a chat with? And I thought the one and only, I know you're Australia's, #1 relationship mindset coach. I'm going to talk about what that means, right? But for me, I mean, you got a beautiful name. You got Indian background, Rani itself, the name Rani, it means queen, isn't that right? Right.
Yeah, it does. It does.
So perhaps for me, you're the relationship queen. I think I'm going to give you that title. The relationship queen. We've known each other for almost 2 decades now. 2 decades ago, you came along, wanted to do some, I think it was kinesiology, some of the energy work with us so many years ago. When, you went on your journey. I remember that's when you sort of connected with your partner. You got married, you went on your journey. You've got a beautiful young girl. And like all of us, are going this journey in order for us to evolve as human beings. And you've been doing coaching, done some wonderful work with lots of trainers, all the key players out there, including myself. And somehow we're here. We're finding ourselves doing the work that we do. So tell us the Rani story. How did you get to doing what it is that you're doing? Because then, I suppose we'll open up a discussion on that. It is Valentine's Day. And really, we want to get into a discussion. What can you share from your experience actually help people to attract the perfect partner? What are the 3 steps in order for them that they need to go through to become the person they need to become in order to allow love to come in and have this experience in life, which, we're all born to have here. So over to you, Rani. I want to give you the floor. Everyone, Rani again. Tell us the Rani story.
All right. For those of you who have not met me yet, my name is Rani Peluso. And if you were with me 20 years ago, you would have been in my bedroom listening to my mother crying on the floor because my dad had had an affair. And I felt utterly helpless, utterly. I didn't know how to support her. And I was heartbroken. She used to think that I was asleep when she would cry, but I knew she was crying. I made a decision that day to take the action to find out how I could support her and how I could avoid this happening, because I kept on seeing it around me everywhere. And so began the journey of me becoming a mindset coach. And I didn't realize I was going to specialize in relationships, but for me, it was always about love. Now, if you were with me 10 years ago, what you would have seen is, unfortunately, my marriage also broke down. I caught my husband in an affair. But the lucky thing was, by then I'd already been coaching people for a good 10 to 15 years. And I knew that you had to make a decision. You were either going to survive or you were going to be a victim. And I had to make that decision very quickly. So the blessing was that I had already coached so many people and known there are certain mindsets, people that actually will go on and find love and have an even happier life, and others that will stay stuck, resentful, and in blame. So 5 years ago, I made a decision to launch Create Your Perfect Relationship or Attract Your Perfect Partner Relationship. And the reason I decided to do that was because personally, for me, I was really humbled. Life really threw me down to my knees when I was, going through this experience. Coaching people in the area of relationships and going through the actual challenges myself personally was two completely different things. So I went on a worldwide quest to find the answers to feel better, because I felt wretched, I felt worthless, I felt undesirable, my confidence had knocked. I just didn't know how to get it back. And as I was traveling around the world, talking to my mentors, Dr. Demartini, Ben Harvey, yourself, like so many fantastic people around the world that I know, they said, Rani, you've been doing this long enough, you write it. So I wrote it and I put myself through it, and it worked. So I thought, okay, doesn't matter if it works for me. It's like the cabbage diet, that can work for one person, right? Let's see if it works for others. So I started putting women through it, and that worked really well. And I was particularly interested in men because we lose 6.5 men a day in Australia to suicide. And I wanted to know if this system worked for them as well. And people close to my heart had struggled with deep depression, and men in my life who had attempted suicide. And that was terrifying me. So I put them through this system and it worked. And I was like, okay, let's go. Let's reach some more people. Why are people suffering alone when they could be in a really meaningful relationship and just happier? So that's a little bit of the history from me.
Well, Rani, thank you for sharing the story, because, it's when we look back, there's always, moments in our life, signpost or signature moments that when we look back, that was really led us on the trajectory to where we are today. And it's not until maybe we do certain work and we get the level of consciousness we have today to look back and honor that and appreciate that and thank it for where we are today. And I suppose that's what relationships are like as well. When you're going through something in a relationship, we don't see it at that moment because we're stuck in it. But how do we need to work on ourselves to evolve our consciousness so we can look back on it today and say, hey, how grateful am I for having that experience, because I'm a better person today. And it only sets me up to have a better second half of my life. I keep on saying to people, hey, let the second half of your life be the better part of your life. So thank you again, for sharing your story. And, when we're talking about relationships, and anyone here that's watching, just before we go on with Rani, let us know where you're watching from. Happy Valentine's Day to you. If you've got a question, just put the question here. Let Rani know as well. And maybe you can get a live hot seat in relationships and love if we get to that point. And if you catch it on the replay, just put your questions in, then we'll go to you. We'll get to you afterwards. And, when we get to the end, Rani's got something special for all of you as well, too. So let's see who we got on board. We've got Joanne, he's here. Patricia's here. Crystal's here. So we've got people watching. So let us know, because, we're here to serve you. As we said, Rani's been in this field for 2 decades in this industry as a coach, for me 3 decades in complementary medicine, personal growth and performance. And collectively together, that's half a century of working with people, thousands of people. Joanne Colfax, live from Sydney. Thanks, Joanne. Great to have you here. Half a century of working with thousands and thousands of people to let go of those sabotages, those blockages, those obstacles which are stopping achieving success in life, and more importantly, success in how they relate to other people in life and relate to themselves. And I think, there's one aspect that Tony Robbins says, he say, Rani, you've got one area in your life that is the greatest emotional roller coaster, the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. And the one thing for me that makes everything else worthwhile is relationships. We don't do life by ourselves. We do it with other people. We didn't come on this planet to be a castaway like Tom Hanks, just with Wilson, right? And we came on this planet to be able to express ourselves, express our light, our brilliance, and to share that with other people. And yet, I heard your story, and you talked about how you had your experience with your mum, and your mum had an experience, and you were there to witness it. And how often do we take on the patterns from our parents, and they've taken from their parents, and we keep on passing that on until we'll heal that within ourselves, until we look for the lesson and stop the blame game and look forward to say, let me express myself in the best possible way I can. So from this perspective of relationships, you put this program together, and over the last 5 years, it's not just Australia that you live in Australia, so I believe you're Australia's #1, relationship mindset coach, but you've got clients from all over the world doing this in the last 5 years, so attracting your perfect partner. So tell us a bit about that. Tell us the backstory to that. And what are some of the things that on a day like today that we can get people thinking about and being more intentional and conscious to be able to experience life differently today, especially today?
Sure. So a few things. You mentioned, why not let the second half of your life be the best part of your life? Well, my philosophy is, why not learn how to do relationships even before you start relationships? Back in the day, we used to hear our parents saying things like, we don't know how to be parents. There aren't any courses, there aren't any books. But now there are hundreds of book courses, right? So we are pioneering in this area. We are enabling our children to have healthy relationships. And if we're not modeling a healthy relationship for them, then we need to get that sorted out. So you mentioned appreciation, and it's a very simple 3-step process. And first, we need to accept what's going on, okay? And the second part of that is through deep awareness. So it sounds like usually people would go into the awareness, but we need to accept that we are where we are. Then we get the awareness of why we are where we are and what we're doing.
Well, just on that, because a lot of people say, before we get to the third spot, because let's open up that first one, Rani, because a lot of people say, I get it. I mean, I get the theory to accept, but it's fucking hard to accept. How can I accept someone doing that to me? There's no way I can accept that. So, because I know, even though myself, like having done this work for 20, 25 years, when I went through, the situation in my relationships like 5 years ago, I thought, how could this be happening to me? And then I found it challenging to put the stuff that I'd learned in place until, you got to be intentional to do the work and say, okay, well, I have to look back at it and say, okay, what can I take from this? But there's a moment. You think the masses don't know this stuff. So, how do you deal with acceptance? How do you make that work?
Well, it's amazing that you say that, because, and I'm really glad you're super passionate about this, because life humbled me and life humbled you, even though we knew this stuff. So can you imagine, how do other people cope with this without the professional mindset training background? Okay. The biggest help that I had was actually from Dr. Demartini in learning how to get the appreciation out of what happened and why things have happened. Okay. And when you can get to that point, there is nothing to forgive. So once you have the awareness and you accept it and you get the appreciation, you're well on your way. For some people who are not easily magnetizing the right types of people in their life and the right experiences, remember, as you do relationships, is as you do business, is as you do every single other thing in life. As you are in bed, as you are out of bed. Okay, so if you're not,
I want to write that one down. As you are in bed is as you are out of bed. That's so true, because there's a specific energy that you express when you're intimate and sharing and connecting to that creation, that spark that a man and a woman, a feminine and masculine energy can create. And if you're able to generate that, that means you can then transfer that energy in other areas in your life. Because, I've always said there's no such thing as a business problem, like we just said, Rani, or a health problem. There's always a personal problem that stems from how you connect with yourself and others, relationships. Love it. Wow.
Yeah, and one of the side effects of my program is that people do look younger because they've let go of a whole lot of tension in their body. They start to make money out of their business. They start to enjoy better relationships at work, right? And getting promotions and better offers because their energy is more centered. Okay. Another side effect is, just the fact that they have fun and play. That's what we're meant to be here to do. Like, we're children that have come here to experience adventure, fun, play, excitement. And so for a long time, a lot of us just get buried under life, and all that heaviness just, nobody wants to date that person because you're stuck under a bunch of anger and all this heavy stuff that just needs.
What you said there, no one wants to, what you're dating and what you're going out with is someone that's got a vibration, an energy, a vibe, someone that sort of lifts you up, someone that actually makes you feel alive. Would you want to go out with someone who's always, what if, and they're turning left? What if all that happens again? I'm talking about crap and negativity. It's like, well, that doesn't really excite me. I don't think excite anyone. So I love it. It's about the vibration that you give, about the frequency you give out at that moment. But again, someone's going to say, I can't accept that. You're telling me to accept that stuff. How do I accept it? How do I appreciate? How do I find the stuff in it to appreciate? We've got some questions too I'm going to share with you in a second. But we've got Beck Starries as well too, and Joanne's got a question to ask later on. But what's the work? What needs to happen for someone to actually find something and find the lesson in something to appreciate it, Rani?
Sure. Look, first of all, I want you to know that you have 3 brains working for you to solve this problem. Okay, you have your brain, which is your mindset. You have your heart, which is telling you with emotions that you're on the right track, and you have your gut, right? So if you're following your intuition, your heart and your emotions, and your brain and your mindset, you can't be led wrong. When things happen in life, right, we have a look at scale of behavior. We have very loving things that happen and very hateful things. Hateful people hate and hurt others. It's because they're full of hate and hurt. Okay, now you always have a choice on whether you absorb that. I always say that being given a compliment is a gift, and you say thank you. But given an insult is also a gift, and you can say no thank you. Right? To get the appreciation out of the worst of worst things is a skill that, many coaches who have been trained in Breakthrough, Masters NLP with you, for example, or the Dr. Demartini method, it's easy to get the appreciation out of it. I'm a very systematic person. My background is actually investment banking and IT and science. So I have a very systemized pathway to get the appreciation out. It doesn't sound very romantic, but sometimes you just need to know that someone's going to hold your hand along the way and help you to get what you need. And so not only are you grateful for what happened, it doesn't make it all right. It doesn't make it all right. If you were hurt, hit, cheated on, abused, it doesn't make it all right. We're not saying that. What we're saying is, let's appreciate the gifts that came out of that and let's move on. Because that was the key skill in the people that survived and found love again, or the people that stayed angry, bitter, hurt, and stuck. And I saw some people do that for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. And then what happens, and then we pass it on to our kids and their kids and their kids, and it's a whole new pattern that's created. Look, I love what you said there. Acceptance is not about letting the other person off the hook. You accept actually let yourself off the hook to stop yourself being a prisoner, right? And it's not, condoning the action. It's saying, you know what, well, it happened. And it happened that way because it didn't happen any other way. That's Peter Crone, right? It happened the way it happened because it didn't happen any other way. So if it happened that way, and we take and understand everything happens for a greater purpose, then we challenge ourselves to find, as you said, Rani, what's the good in this? How can it help me be a better individual? How can it help me activate maybe the resource I have within myself? So next time I communicate with myself, with my friends, or with a significant other, then I can actually be a better quality human being. I think that's the work people need to do to start learning how to accept, not necessarily to say it's okay and condone that action, but how to move on.
And often often I get people that come to me that say they've been with a psycho. My wife was a psycho, or I was in a narcissistic relationship, or so on and so on. Now, labels are one of the things that keep you stuck. Okay, that's one of the things that's going to really stop you from getting the appreciation. Now, there is a whole process, but the first thing is, even though we want for our children and our loved ones to never have any hardship, unfortunately, that's not the game of life, right? So if we see it as a number of gods sitting up in the sky and they've sent us down as children to experience this game of life, they threw in a few curveballs here, a bit of pain, a bit of trauma, a bit of, it's just what everyone gets to go through. So even though we wish our children to go through the whole of life in complete ease, unfortunately, it's just not the way that it's going to happen for most of us. And what do we do with that? So to win in the game of life is to actually to get the appreciation out of that.
And I love how you said, you know, life throws us curveballs, right? I wrote that one down with everything else I'm writing down. Because I like taking notes of the people that I have a chat with, right? You know, I like to call curveballs growth balls. Life throws us growth balls. And it's again just the way you choose to look at it, right? So you know, coming back, you know, we said, you know, and I agree and I believe, and having experienced your work and knowing the work that you do, Australians are not the world's #1 relationship mindset coach. A lot of people say, is she a relationship coach? Is she a sex coach? Is she? No, it's a relationship mindset coach, which helps you to develop the mindset that you require in order for you to have a successful relationship with yourself and with other people. And that's different. It's not a dating coach. It's working on the mindset, a specific mindset that you want to develop a relationship mindset. And that means you've got to work on yourself and work on your connection with everyone else. And that's why I believe your program is quite unique and you get the results that you do worldwide. Now, I've got a question here. I've got from Joanne Colfax. Let's see if you can give us some insight into this question. And maybe as you go on, you can help us here. I know in my relationship, I ended up creating what I feared the most. So thank you for sharing, Joanne. Which was ending up in divorce. My husband and I spoke about our values, and yet we ended up creating the opposite. Let's see what she's got here. How does it happen, Rani? How does it happen that, you know, you end up creating the opposite even though you've spoken about your values? What's going on there in your experience?
There's different ways to look at this. One is to look at relationship archetypes. So what kind of personality you are. That's too big to go into here, but I'm happy to run a separate masterclass on that. The second way is a very simple definition.
You cover that in your program, right? We're going to talk about your attracting perfect partner. You sort of highlight archetypes in there.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, we'll get to that one.
The second thing is what Dr. DeMartini says is if you have a set of values and your partner has a set of values, but one of you is expecting the other to live outside of your value system and in their value system, or vice versa, you are allowing somebody to live outside of theirs and in yours, eventually you're going to cause resentment and boredom, and the person's going to want to leave. So it's a much more in-depth and specific conversation, but the main rule is stay true to yourself, otherwise you're going to end up breeding resentment, and eventually you're going to get bored of your partner and you'll leave.
Yeah, I totally agree. I know what Joanne's saying, yes, agreed. I went on my internal search and found coaching. He showed me where I wasn't loving and respecting myself. Now I see that, and that's what I appreciate. And so within that experience, thank you so much for sharing, Joanne. There's the lesson, the appreciation, but like everyone, we need to go on that work to do that. If we just sit back and still point the finger as all, well, you know what? They did that to me, then you're not being proactive in life. You're being reactive in life. And so this whole relationship mindset, you know, conversation we're having is how do you become proactive in relationships as opposed to reactive in relationships? So tell us a bit about that. How can you become more proactive in order for you to attract the perfect partner that most people so crave in their heart, right?
So my longer term thinking around this is that we actually do need to do this a lot better preemptively. And some of the damage has already been done. Our children are now having relationships with AI because it's easier. And I have a personal feeling around that. I understand that AI, whether it's in the form of a virtual relationship, and often people have virtual relationships and they've actually never met the person, so they won't actually know whether that's a real person anyway. Yeah, but there's also AI robots, and our children are opting to have these types of relationships because the program is designed to boost up their self-esteem and self-confidence and give them what they need, like sexy, spicy images. So it only satisfies a part of the brain, but it is a real relationship in the world of these emerging children. That bothers me because as much as I don't want my children to be hurt, I also want them to experience real life with a real human, because the reward of that is unlike anything that only part of your brain being lit up with AI can give you. And what I would like to, how I see it in the future, is actually get people to do a basic level relationship course, because then they don't go into a relationship projecting all of their brokenness on the other person, which is basically what's been happening for centuries. And our parents were probably, hopefully, the last generation that projected each other's broken stuff onto them and created all this generational trauma. So to do it preemptively, unfortunately, it's a bit of a chicken and an egg situation. Which has to happen first? Do we just send our children to these, relationship academies and learn how to have healthy relationships? Or do we model it? Do we first go and get our stuff sorted out? And then they get this as an example of what a healthy relationship looked like. In the 20 years that I've been coaching, I realized there's not many people, in fact, very, very small percentage of people that know what a healthy relationship looks like. So I think that's the education that needs to go out first. Very fundamental stuff.
Look, I love what you said there, because as we said, we don't do life by ourselves, we do it with other people, and we don't learn how to relate with other people at school. We don't learn about relationships. We sort of get exposed to taboos about relations, taboos about things that you can't do, like boys and girls and males and females. And a lot of this stuff is, well, we learn it on the street of life street, right? We don't learn it in a textbook, it's life street. But if there was a program that help people become consciously aware. And I'll get back to that word intentional. Most people live their relationship. We have a mediocre life, a mediocre relationships because we live randomly. We live, let's just go with the flow and see what happens. Well, that's not intentional. It's like, well, what energy are you putting in today? Are you purposely thinking about the words that you're using when you're communicating with someone else? Are you purposely thinking about what you want them to experience? Bruce Lipton calls it the honeymoon period. When people first meet, the honeymoon period, because we're conscious. We're conscious about looking good, what we say, because, we've got an end game up here, right? A man and woman meet, what's the end game? Let's get together, let's do the deed, right? And so it takes you longer to get ready, it takes you longer to get prepared, you go out to dinner and you watch the way you eat and you prepare yourself. But once you achieve the result, which is a primitive thing, like you get together, a lot of us fall into our unconscious, we fall into we stop living consciously in our relationship, go past the honeymoon period, and we fall into complacency because we think we got something. And that's what Tony Robbins says, the biggest obstacle we face in a relationship is to think that this relationship is going to last forever. To think that this is forever is the first killer in relationship, because nothing lasts forever. And if we get that, then we live as if we want to make the most out of today. What are your thoughts around that, Rani?
So I think if you stop making an effort for yourself, you're going to stop making an effort in your relationship. So the relationships that deteriorate are often people who have let go of their own health, their own, going to the gym, taking care of themselves, and their self-standard drops. And I don't know why that decision is made. For me, I made that decision because I prioritized my husband and my child. And I prioritize my work. Okay, so my self-standard dropped. And if you don't look after yourself, then your commitment to your relationship will also suffer eventually. So I'm not sure if that's helpful. So if you carry on with, all the people that I usually meet are into personal development, self-development, they look after themselves, they look after their health. Everyone I meet is so good looking. I don't know if it's just my filter, but they really take care of themselves because they want to be healthy. And from that space, it's only a very short jump, skip and hop to attracting your perfect partner. But one of the fundamental keys is you must have higher self-standards.
Well, again, how beautiful is what you've just shared there, because life outside of you is a reflection of what you have inside of you. So if you feel the standards that you're experiencing in your life don't meet up to your expectations, or maybe you're not meeting up to the expectations of life, of the gift that you've been given to have life on this planet. And so your standards are dropped. Now, why does that happen in people though? You know, like we go through stuff, right? We go through shit. We have stuff happen to us, you know, and these are decisions that we made somewhere else. And that's another podcast as a soul to have this experience for a learning, right? But we don't get that. And so if we've made this decision to have these obstacles, and the obstacle is the way, as Ryan Holiday says in his book, then how can we learn to lean into the obstacle, to lean into the stretch so we can grow individually ourselves, to raise our standard and don't look at things as stuff happens to us and we go through PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder or syndrome. We go to PTGD, post-traumatic growth syndrome, right? So how do we grow from the event as opposed to distress from the event? So yeah, I love it, what you're saying there, Rani, because we have to work on ourselves. Raise your standards, 3 words, and everything changes in your life. Joanne's saying, yes, I was taught that you marry forever, so deciding to leave was a very burdensome decision.
And a lot of people do believe in that, the soul contract, that we're here for a particular lesson. But while it's too big a topic to go into today, I'm happy to do another chat about that. I want to give you some 3D human life experience hacks. Would that be useful?
Love it. 3D human life experience hacks. In order to
just
have,
if you have these 2 hacks, you'll be able to have a lot more of a peaceful relationship within yourself, and you won't constantly be asking you, am I pissing people off, or do they like me, or, you know, what did I do wrong? Because a lot of times people have got this self-doubt voice in their head. And
so let's make sure that everyone else want to hear these hacks. Just put yes, yes, give me the hacks, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. I want to see that in the chat. Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. And then we're going to get Rani to give you her life hacks. Then we're going to talk about the something special that she's got for all of you, so you can experience her work as well. So I'm not seeing it in the chat. Come on, guys, give it to me. Give me the life hacks. Give me the life hacks. Yes, please. We've got yes, please. So come on, Rani. Let's hear your life hacks.
All right. So first of all, when it comes to dating, I do actually handhold my clients in their first few dates, especially if they haven't dated for a really long time, to help them get the confidence. And I even give them a script on what they can talk about on their first date, so that they just feel more comfortable and ensure the higher success. Anyway, prior to that, I get them to use this particular mindset hack. People are really worried about rejection. That's the hugest thing that I hear. I'm worried about being rejected. What if I'm rejected? Okay. What does that actually mean? It means a fear of failure or a fear of judgment from others, that they're going to fail. They're going to see me fail in this. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you, what are the rules that you have made up for yourself in order to feel rejected or undesirable? Now, when you dig deep into this, most people have made 20 or 30 very easy reasons that they're going to feel rejected. Oh, my hair's going to look bad that day. Oh, you know, I'm going to look fat in my dress. Okay, she's not going to laugh at my jokes, and so on and so forth. There's just so many small, easy ways in which they can feel rejected. Oh, he didn't text me back. Oh, she didn't accept my call, and so on and so forth. So if you have a little look at all the rules that you've made up to feel rejected or undesirable, right, that's the first step. The second step is, what needs to happen in order for you to feel accepted or desirable or wanted, okay? And write down all of those rules. Now here, people have made it really hard for themselves, okay? So in order to feel accepted and wanted and desired, he must say, I'm beautiful. He must say, I'm funny. He must turn up when he says he does. He must bring me flowers on Valentine's Day. He must write me words of, you know, affirmation in this beautiful card that he's going to give me. And if any one of those things don't happen, you default back to rejected or undesirable. You make it mean that you're not good enough. That not good enough is the biggest belief that I work with my clients. So here's the hack. Instead of making it really, really easy to feel rejected, why not make it super hard? And in order to feel accepted, loved, and desired, why not make it super easy? How do we do this? Right, very simple. You make one a menu and you make the other a buffet. So let me just explain. In order for me to feel rejected, okay, at the moment, I might have a buffet, which is, and if I'm wrong, please correct me. So in order for me to feel rejected, he must, not call me, or not comment on my new dress, or not notice my haircut, or not comment on my new lipstick, or not introduce me to his mother last weekend, so and so, right? So at the moment, it's very easy for me to be rejected because all of those things, if any one of them happens, I'll feel rejected. Let's change that to a menu. In order for me to feel rejected, these things have to happen. He doesn't invite me to meet his mother, and he doesn't notice my haircut, and he doesn't notice my lipstick, and he doesn't show up in time, and he doesn't call when he's, so make it even harder to feel that rejection. Let's flip it over. How do we feel that it's going to be easier to feel accepted? Well, why don't we make it a buffet? In order to feel accepted, I look at myself in the mirror and smile, or I get a compliment from anyone. It doesn't have to be him, okay? So make it super, super hard to feel rejected and make it super, super easy to feel, make it super hard to feel rejected and super easy to feel accepted. So change the rules, hack yourself.
Love that process, Rani. So, in terms of changing the rules, because you're spot on. And that's not just rejection and all the other things that aren't working in our life, right? The reason why we make the decision on something is because we have a menu that says it means that. But if we made a buffet, that means that. If we made that a menu, that so many things have to happen together to mean that, it'll never happen. So we're never going to have that. And the opposite that we do want, make that the buffet. So any one of those experiences happen, then I'm experiencing it. Love that process. And so guys, take that to the bank, because if you, as Rani said, the biggest thing in relationships that people want to avoid, is probably the biggest of is rejection. That's probably stops them from getting themselves out there or speaking up or sharing the feelings, or maybe leading into stretch for them to allow themselves to have this experience they never thought would if they didn't. All right. So, and the reason you do that is because of the program you're running on rejection. So take that hack to the bank, change the rules. And if you need some help with the rules, thank you so much for that's amazing, Rani. Thank you. Love that, love that, love that. If you want help with the rules, just, get in touch with Rani. So Rani, if people want to get in touch with you, how will they get in touch with you? And also tell us about that special program that we're going to let people know about that they can be part of as well too.
Okay. So first of all, thank you. Most people are rejecting themselves even before they get a chance to be rejected by someone else. So that's why it's really important to master that mindset hack, because they won't even put themselves in an opportunity where they are going to be possibly rejected because they've already rejected themselves. So how to get in touch with me, there is a link that will be posted in the comments. Yeah. And what this will enable you to do is to come along to a 5-day mini course. It's completely free. And in this 5-day course, you're going to learn the 6 main things you're doing to sabotage your successes at having a meaningful relationship. You're going to learn the 6 things you must master in order to create that perfect relationship. But what you're going to walk out with is the one biggest reason you haven't created your perfect relationship yet. That's the promise, okay? You're also going to get a lot of other things. You're going to get a dating personality quiz, which will tell you how you're showing up and what you look like in the dating world. And this is also true if you're in a relationship. It doesn't actually change after you're married, okay? What it is you still need to master about yourself, and that leads into an offer, maybe if you're interested, to do a program which I have founded, and that is the Attract Your Perfect Partner program. The first part of that is pretty much an extrapolation of what we've talked about today. Let's learn what's happening, why you are the way you are, and why you've created the results you have. Okay, and we get to a place of radical self-acceptance and love, and then we start working on dating specific confidence. Okay, because a lot of people do say, well, it's probably easy for you, you look confident. I wasn't always like this, believe me, I had to build it. The second part was we are creating the opportunities. A lot of people, hands down, do not want to do online dating. Okay, I do encourage my clients to be open to it, at least, because there are something like 3.5 million profiles in Australia, and you'll have access to people that you just won't have in your proximity. And you know, your right person could be online. So we work out the strategy that works well for you, whether you want to do it organically in person or whether you want to do it online, and then how to do that safely. The final part of the first layer is that we're actually going to build your competence. So this is where you've had enough. You don't want to be fulfilled just by doing endless courses or serving others or helping others. You've had enough. Now it's your time. Now you want something for you. So we're going to start to build your competence and your confidence by getting you out, having these conversations, practicing the dates, and I'll be hand holding you. I won't be there physically with you in the date, but I will be coaching you before and after. And then we're working.
So you don't have a microphone with like an earpiece, and you know, as a person saying, they just sit to me, what do I say now? Like one of those movies, right? So I think that would be great. Yeah, the female version of Hitch. Look, Rani, thank you so much. We've got that link in the Facebook chat now. So this 5-day mini course, let's talk about that, because this is the starting of the program that you just mentioned. So this 5-day mini course is the mini course of Attract Your Perfect Partner. So the link is there, guys. It's a 5-day mini course. And I always say mini course. It's not like, 5 days. If you can find 90 minutes to an hour a day to hop onto a masterclass where Rani's going to share with you the points that she covered. So we're talking about within 7 to 10 hours over 5 days, it is a relationship game changer for you. You're going to get your dating personality test, and you're going to be exposed in a much deeper level. If you got something out of this 40-minute chat that we've had, imagine having a 7 to 10 hour conversation with Rani and with like-minded people. Hey, you never know, that person might be in a Zoom room when they come and join that you might connect with, right?
Funny you say that, because so far in the last three months, I've had 4 couples that have come out of just those trainings.
Okay, well, that could be the intention of the picture, Rani.
No, it's not the intention of the trainings. It's not the intention, but you do meet like-minded people, because remember, if you're meeting someone that's working on themselves, you go, wow, this person's really trying hard to be better. And I don't know about you, but if I had a child, my child comes and says, I want to date this person, and he's done some basic relationship coaching, I'd feel really comfortable. I'd feel that they're not going to be hurting each other, because, of course, it's inevitable that somebody's going to make a mistake or still need to grow. But if you've done the foundational stuff, right, they're just in a better position to have a better, higher quality relationship. But that's not the outcome of the intention of the trainings at all. But
it's another positive side effect, like with the other side effects, right? The positive side effects. I love the positive side effects that you said, Rani. So guys, look, my recommendation is click the link. And if you're catching this on the replay, click the link. And once you click the link, send it to your friends as well, because birds of a feather flock together. We know that. And you want to create an environment where people are working on themselves, because if as a group, as a community, you start to grow and you elevate your relationship with yourself, then magic really starts to happen. You start to bring wonderful things, not only in your life, but the lives of your community, the lives of your friends, and lives of people around you. And that's how we create a ripple effect of positive change worldwide. And that's the thing, the duty that we all have as a 3D human being, 5D human being in this 3D world, right? So, guys, I want to thank Rani while we're still live. We've gone about 45 minutes, so we've got to wrap this up. Rani, thank you so much for your time. Great chat. I'm sure we can probably organise another chat and go into more detail with some of these things, but probably better still, let's get these guys into the Attract Your Perfect Partner mini course. The mini course, free for you guys to join. So whether you got this live or replay, guys, go to that link. And if you want to reach out to Rani, you can do that through there. And I want to thank you for listening, Rani, hang on here. So I'll just finish off the Facebook. Have a great Valentine's Day, everyone, the rest of the day. And may every day you live purposely, intentionally, expressing yourself and having quality relations, not only with yourself, with others, so you can appreciate life for what it really has. Rani, I want to give you the last word before we wrap up and say goodbye to the live feed.
Thank you so much for listening today. So Valentine's Day for me, whether I'm in a relationship or not, has always been about putting my own self-love first, because you can never love anyone more than you love yourself. So work on that first.
Thank you so much, Rani. And thank you, guys. We'll see you next time.